everyone. Welcome. Good morning. Welcome to Cyanotypes workshop. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Susana Nogueira. I'm a Policy and Project Officer at EfVET, the European Forum of Technical and Vocational Education and Training, and we are a full partner of Cyanotypes project. Today's session is dedicated to Cyanotypes Open Pilots, titled Engaging with Cyanotypes in Practice. And during today, or in the next hour, what we are going to do is that we are going to understand what cyanotypes is, the work that resulted in the outcomes of cyanotypes framework and also toolkit, and also last but not the least, how you can yourselves, your organizations, implement cyanotypes framework through pilots. So sessions dedicated to train the students, to upskill and reskill professionals, to be better equipped to the challenges that were brought to the cultural and creative industries or the CCI sector. So without further ado, what is cyanotypes? Its motto says it all already. Cyanotypes means developing regenerative learning systems for creative futures. And the project is a strategic one for the culture and creative industries, or the CCIs, as it addresses the skills needs and gaps of the sector, and also aim to rethink how creative skills are defined and developed. The partnership is comprised by education providers from the vocational education or VET sector, also universities. We also have industry representatives from the creative and educational networks, and also policy makers. Together, they provide their own perspectives, their own know-how, and also experience to all of the activities, all of the products, outcomes, results of the Cyanotypes project. The project provides a shared reference point for future creative skills connecting art, technology, education, and society. And after 4 years, Cyanotypes will be over at the end of August 2026. After that, Cyanotypes will actually be highlighted in a major key international event called the Creative Skills Week 2026. And if you want to participate, please scan this QR code or access to the link that we provide here on this slide that lead you to Cyanotypes website, where you can find more detailed information about what Cyanotypes is, what its framework is, the toolkit that was developed in the project and which we are going to address during this session, and also information about the Creative Skills Week, which we hope to you to participate and to join us between September 9th and 11th in Brussels. Now, what is Cyanotypes paradigm? As it happens in many sectors, there are also rapid changes in the CCIs shaped by social, digital, and green transitions. This causes education and training systems across Europe to struggle to keep up with these changes, leading to a lack of clear learning pathways across all sectors or all levels of education, actually. The skills become thus outdated, while new roles or occupational profiles and also practices emerge. So again, we need to capacitate education and training systems to cope with these rapid changes in the CCIs by allowing them or helping them to address current and eventually future skills needs in the CCIs. What was or is Cyanotypes' approach to this paradigm? So all of the work that was done in Cyanotypes project was based on a triple loop learning approach. This means that in the beginning, all of the partners looked into existing practices, knowledge, and also validated CCI competences to understand what already exists and works, and what are what is lacking, what was lacking in terms of practices, in terms of competences to be addressed, in terms of skills. After this analysis was done, the partners went to the second loop, which was actually co-creating new competencies with partners and also with key stakeholders external to the project. So what we did was to create new skills together. And we are going to explain this a little bit more when we are talking about the framework. Last but not the least, the triple loop, where we are right now. We want to help organizations and individuals responding and adapting to emerging skills needs in the CCIs. So learn how to respond to the changes that we were talking about and that affect the way that education and training ecosystems respond to those changes. From the triple loop, we went to, or we passed to, the Cyanotypes Framework. It connects the social, digital, and green transitions to transversal competencies that apply across roles and professions, disciplines, and sectors. So again, cyanotypes is transversal not only to different CCI sectors, it is also applied to different levels of education and training, since vocational education and training until the universities. So VET to higher education. We developed a framework that can be used also for upskilling and reskilling professionals, for experimenting new and flexible learning approaches, and to strengthen connections between education, industry, and policy. So again, in the Cyanotypes framework, we invite the organizations to explore the framework by implementing it through different learning approaches, learning formats, and also to implement them with participation of education, industry, and policy representatives. We brought to you today here a very short video that encapsulates what cyanotypes is and already provides you with a very clear introduction to what cyanotypes framework is. So I hope that you can hear it, but let me know if not, okay? Okay, so you had no problems hearing the, okay, good to know. So in any case, I can share the link for this video afterwards when we finish with the session. By the way, this particular session, as you know, is being recorded. So we are going to share this recording with you and also on EfVET website to make sure that everyone has access to it. Okay. So moving on, basically the cyanotypes framework is rooted on its creative agencies cycle. So what is this creative agency cycle? So as you can see here, and I'm already going a little bit ahead of my presentation, but basically this creative agency cycle is based on 5 particular or very specific agency clusters: the collective agency, public agency, data-driven agency, value-creative agency, and regenerative agency, each of which is comprised by a set of 5 competences that are connected to the respective areas that are addressed by each of these agency clusters. Then we have a cross-cutting themes, also 5 cross-cutting themes that can be combined with the competences that are addressed in each agency cluster. Okay, so basically what the Cyanotypes framework and its creative agency circle offers is to professionals in the creative sector, organizations, educators, networks, and also policymakers to anticipate and also understand what skills are needed in the CCIs, explore these transversal competencies for urgent and future skills needs, and also engage in co-creative processes to identify and develop new and context-specific learning pathways. So here is a more clear, I hope, a more clear visual perspective about Cyanotypes Creative Agency Competence Framework. So as you can see here, for example, within the collective agency, we have competencies such as collective action, interacting in ecosystems, conceptual and critical thinking, collaboration across creative disciplines, creative confidence. In the public agency, we have competences such as working with values, anticipatory innovation, managing transformation. In the data-driven agency, we have data and digital literacy, socio-technical systems, creatively using digital tech. In the value creating, we have opportunity management, working with others, planning and management, financial and economical literacy. And last but not least, in the regenerative agency, we have competences such as exploratory thinking, problem framing, self-awareness, and empathy. The cross-cutting themes, as I was explaining to you before, can be also explored in each of the agencies. Okay, so we have engaging, exploring, framing, world, and self. So basically, the framework allows the organizations, the teachers, the trainers to explore all of these competences in their own pilots, in their own training pilots. Okay? Any questions until now? Is this clear for everyone? Okay, moving on then. So how can we translate challenges into concrete learning experiences? This is where Cyanotypes Open Pilots come. Okay, so we have this creative agency competence framework that actually provides the capacity for students and professionals to act, to decide, to create value in changing conditions within the CCIs sector. So again, we have these 5 clusters, each of which offering a specific perspective on how people and organizations engage with change. They provide different perspectives that can be combined and can be used also to explore skills needs, to test approaches, and to shape learning pathways for upskilling and reskilling. So the open pilot allows organizations, teachers, and trainers to explore how Cyanotypes Framework and Toolkit apply to real learning environments. So again, the Cyanotypes Framework and Toolkit can be applied to your own training processes, to your own training methodologies. So again, it can be implemented in different shapes and ways. You can implement Cyanotypes framework using its toolkit on short learning experiments, sector-specific training programs, curriculum prototypes, workshops. So you choose the way that you would like to address or to implement Cyanotypes framework into your own training methodology. To implement cyanotypes pilots, you have an array of tools at your disposal developed by cyanotypes partners. So you have the competence framework with the 5 agency clusters and also the cross-cutting themes. Then you have the blueprinter, and last but not the least, the train the trainer resources. So let's look into each of them. So the competence framework, as we saw, they define or help you define the key skills and competencies and attitudes needed for future-ready creative businesses that you can explore in your own pilots. Then you have the blueprinter, which is actually an artificial intelligence-powered tool built into Cyanotypes Toolkit, and that helps users quickly identify relevant documents, strategies, and materials that are tailored to your specific interests or organizational needs. You just use the right prompt that is applied to what you want to do in your training, in your pilot, and the blueprinter provides to you a set of tools, a set of materials, and also strategies that you can use to carry out your own pilots. Then you have the train the trainer resources. These resources were also developed in the project to help teachers and trainers and also training centers, organizations that provide training to better implement their own pilots. So the resources include structured cards referring to each of the agency clusters and the competencies that they address. You have lesson templates that will help you plan your lessons, define your general objectives, your specific purposes, also identify what kind of activities you can carry out with the students, the methods to be implemented. So these lesson templates will help you structure or better structure your lessons, okay, your training activities. And then these resources also provide methods for educators to design and test flexible learning experiences, often called open pilots, within their own institutions. Is this clear? So these are the basic, how can I say this, the basic features of Cyanotypes framework and approach to training to the CCI sector that you can use. They are here for you to use in benefit of your students, in benefit of the professionals looking for upskilling and reskilling. Now, in order for us to understand a little bit better how the open pilots can be implemented, I brought to you here some examples of pilots that were already implemented by vocational education and training schools, by universities, and also by organizations belonging to the CCIs, and that also provide training. Okay? So, the first example that I bring to you today is called Transformation Days at Schools for Creative Future Learning. So this particular organization decided to implement an initiative called Transformation Days, dedicated to young people and also to upper secondary students. As a general objective, this particular initiative aims to create an experience-based learning or lively school-based format where creativity, values, collective action, and self-efficacy are developed through artistic and participatory methods. So again, regarding the participatory methods, this leads us into belief that the students will be working together in order to achieve this general objective that was here defined. Regarding the specific or main aim of this particular pilot, it aims to build creativity, collective agency, values, literacy, and self-efficacy among participants by using the unique capacity of creative practice to turn complex futures into shared experiences that students can discuss, test, and act upon. So in here, again, students with an active role in their learning process. As you can see here, regarding the competence framework, many key competencies from the different agency clusters were addressed by this particular pilot. We have competences from the collective agency, from the public agency, and also from the regenerative agency that were addressed in this particular pilot. The format of this pilot was co-creative workshops. So the initiative Transformation Days was carried out through co-creative workshops. And these co-creative workshops allowed students to participate in co-creative workshops where they could work as full group, in smaller groups, and also individually to explore transformations as something that they can actively shape. So again, here the perspective that the students, the future professionals, have the capacity, the agency capacity to transform, to shape the transformations that they will be faced with in the CCIs. So what they did was textile building and mixing colors, making future scenarios embodied and experienceable rather than just debatable. Then they participated also in dialogue and reflection sessions with their teachers through structured check-ins, pair exchanges, wrap-up, and also follow-up sessions. Okay, so basically what was done here was in addition to the practical activities of textile building and mixing colors, they also had the opportunity to reflect on what they did, reflect on their role as active shape shifters, so to speak, of the transformations within the CCI sector. The expected outcomes of these co-creative workshops were that students would leave the Transformation Days initiative with creative tools, a broader perspective, and the lived experience of collective action. They will see themselves as agents of change, and the teachers will be able to gain new methodological approaches and improved connections with students. Therefore, not only the students have something to gain through the acquired skills, competencies, and attitudes. Also, the teachers have some advantages, some added values in implementing the cyanotypes framework. And in this particular experience or example, new methodological approaches and improved connections with students. Another example that I brought to you is called Future Ready Creative Practice. It was aimed at design students, and the general objective of this particular pilot was to help young designer students to begin their studies with a clearer sense of their own creative abilities, values, digital awareness, financial understanding, and self-reflective capacity. So basically, to do so, this particular initiative addressed key competences from the self-cross-cutting team that was addressed was focused by the collective agency, particularly the competence of creative confidence, another competence from the public agency, another competence from the data-driven agency, from the value creative agency, and regenerative agency. So basically, what this particular organization did was to address itself cross-cutting themes through different competences of each of the agency clusters part of the competence framework. The main purpose, the specific purpose of this particular pilot was to create a practical learning space where the students could connect future relevant competences to their own development as emerging creative professionals. So again, I'm sorry, I made a mistake with the title. Of course, that this is not the transformation days. This is another practice. So in this particular practice, the format was monthly sessions. So while the transformation days initiative was focused on co-creative workshops, this one was implemented through monthly sessions, where each month was focused on one of the selected competences that we were talking about before. The activities implemented in this particular initiative was a combination of structured teaching with active experimentation, lecture-based inputs, examples, individual assignments, and also feedback. So again, there was also a very good connection between the students and the teachers who led or guided the students through these monthly sessions approach. The expected outcome of this particular pilot was that the products that were developed by the students in these different activities would also be linked to each of the five defined competence areas, and also allowed the teachers to better understand how the cyanotypes framework could work in the first year design education sector, meaning that in this case, due to the success of this approach in this particular organization, it has the potential to continue implementing cyanotypes framework in the first year of this particular course. Okay, there are other pilots. In general, there were a total of 25 pilots carried out until now, both by the organizations, education organizations, and also education networks that are part of cyanotypes, and also by organization external to the project. If you scan this QR code, you will have access to the description of all of the pilots that were carried out, from which you can take inspiration for your own pilots. So I urge you to scan this QR code, explore all of the examples of the open pilots that were carried out under Cyanotypes framework, and eventually reflect on how you can implement your own pilots as well. If you are interested in running your own pilot, which I think I'm a bit biased to say this, but I think it would be an added value not only for your organization, but also for your students and also for the professionals looking for upskilling and reskilling. Please, once again, access to this QR code, also to the link that leads to a Cyanotypes website, explore the toolkit of cyanotypes, create your own account in the toolkits and access to all of the materials. So once again, to the framework, to the blueprinter, and also to the train of trainer resources. Okay? Any questions? Any doubts? Everything is clear? Interested about the open pilots? You will see. Okay, okay. So thank you very much for your attention. In case you wish to know a little bit more about cyanotypes, about these pilots, please don't hesitate to send me an email, sn@efvet.org, and I will be more than happy to clarify and to put you in contact also with the partners of cyanotypes that are responsible for the materials that were developed in the project under its framework. Again, thank you very much for joining us today. And again, I hope to see you at the Creative Skills Week 2026 in Brussels. Thank you very much and have a nice day. Bye-bye.